Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Meet All the Candidates Forum. I'm Colleen Bannerman, and I'm honored to be the president of the Wasaga Beach Chamber of Commerce. As an organization whose mission is to advocate for business and economic development, the Chamber has a keen interest in knowing what is happening in government, but it does go deeper. The Chamber is made up of citizens who live and work in our community. This is home. Our members want to know who their elected officials are and where they stand on issues that affect us all. The Chamber is not a political action committee. We sponsor candidate forums because we believe people have a right to know what their candidates for public service say about issues that affect our community. We provide the forums as a public service, and we are privileged and proud to play a role in the democratic process. The Chamber does not endorse candidates. We will take positions on broad policy issues, but we don't support individual candidates in elections. I feel we all benefit from an open, respectful exchange of information and ideas. A candidate forum allows candidates seeking public office to express their views openly so community members can understand their positions and make informed voting choices. The candidate forum is meant to inform citizens of our community and create an opportunity for community building. If all candidates adhere to the rules, everyone will benefit through increased visibility and general interest in our town. It is my pleasure to introduce John Sandham from 95.1 The Peak FM as our moderator this evening. John will go through the format, rules, and expectations for our Meet All the Candidates Forum. Give a round of applause for John Sandham.
Well, thank you, Colleen, and once again, a huge thank you to the Wasaga Beach Chamber of Commerce for putting this event on. Thank you to everyone in attendance, and thank you to the candidates for being back. We had a very good session this afternoon, a very respectful session, and I assume that that's going to be the case as well this evening. The way this is going to work is each candidate will get a chance to make some opening remarks. We'll start in alphabetical order with the mayoral candidates, making our way to the deputy mayor candidates, the councillors, and then the school board trustee candidates. The mayor and deputy mayor candidates will have 4 to 6 minutes to make their opening remarks. Councillors and school board trustees will have 2 minutes to make their opening remarks. We'll be giving the candidates a warning when they hit 20 seconds remaining with this orange card, as well as a 5-second warning when they're hitting that mark as well. When the time is up, you'll hear this sound, and at that point I invite you to join me in a round of applause for the candidate. After the opening remarks have been completed, we'll take a short 10-minute break, and then it'll be time for the question and answer period. Now, these questions that we're going to be posing to the candidates are questions that you, the public, have submitted either before this meeting or just prior to this meeting at the tables over there. These are your questions, they're your concerns, and the candidates will be answering these questions. Just a reminder that this is not a debate. It is a forum for meeting the candidates. So we would appreciate respectfulness for all candidates. That means no booing, and please do not clap until the candidate has finished speaking, at which case you can. So the first person to speak, we're proceeding in alphabetical order, will be candidate for mayor, Nina Bifolci.
Good evening. I'm Nina Bifolci, and it's been my pleasure to serve the Wasaga Beach community for the past 12 years. 8 years as a municipal councillor, and the last 4 as your deputy mayor and County of Simcoe councillor. I'm the proud mother of 3 adult sons and fortunate to be part of a supportive family which has enabled me to become engaged in our community. I have enjoyed serving on and chairing committees at both the municipal and county levels, including vice chair of the Simcoe County Affordable Housing Advisory Committee and chair of the Wasaga Valley Conservation Authority's Board of Directors. I bring to the position of mayor both business and governmental experience, which has prepared me for the highest office in our local government, that being mayor of the town of Wasaga Beach. All who know me to be honest, transparent, and fair. And while I may not always agree with individuals, I believe we all have a right to share our opinions without being silenced or the matter turning personal, regardless of our differences. Those who know me know that I am straightforward and to the point. What you see is what you get. You can be assured that I will not lie to you to gain your vote, nor will I promise you something I can't deliver. My main focus will always be on the well-being of our town as a whole. I bring experienced leadership that respects legislation, policy, and process, as well as healthy, respectful relationships with other agencies. Deep rifts within the community, low staff morale, and ruined relationships between the town and other agencies requires leadership to mend the consequences of the past 4 years. Wasaga Beach needs to elect 7 independent thinking members of council, capable of making decisions through critical thought and taking into account staff expertise. A fair-to-all approach is a must. I fully support development in our community and recognize it's a necessity to meeting our community's needs. I believe council needs to demand high standards of itself, staff, and all developers wishing to bring development to our town. Council has a responsibility to ensure proper process is followed and that accurate and truthful information is shared with us prior to making decisions. In the past 4 years, I participated in many unanimous votes. However, some really important ones that affect all of you weren't presented with pertinent, adequate, or accurate information at times, and I was forced to vote no. I've spent the past 4 years debating my opponent in an extremely toxic and volatile environment, and I look forward to bringing professionalism back to the council chambers. I've spent the past 4 years defending you and this community from its own council against overwhelming opposition around the council table. My first goal as your mayor will be to heal the divide that has been created in our community and our town hall. I will provide inclusive leadership, restoring staff morale, and mending strained relationships with other organizations. I will lead by respecting all residents, staff, and my colleagues at the council table with strict adherence to policy, process, and legislation. True leaders don't pretend to know it all, but rather surround themselves with people who are excellent in their particular fields and continue to learn by listening to what they have to share. I will ensure that a realistic and workable business plan is developed to eliminate the annual financial losses of the town-owned beachfront properties, ensuring that the authority of the decision-making of this investment is put back in the hands of your entire elected council. A review of the agreements, leases, and financials will be required so the new council knows exactly where we are starting from. I will advocate to share the findings with the entire community. If any aspect of a deal or arrangement can't stand the light of day, then it probably shouldn't have happened. The past 4 years of council have been focused mainly on the beachfront and Main Street, to the exclusion of the rest of town and its residents. Council needs to get back to its core mandate of serving its residents town-wide, as opposed to taking uncalculated risk that has already resulted in lawsuits, debt, and creation of a general town-wide distrust at Town Hall. We need to work with staff at all levels of Wasaga distribution, listen to their expertise, get their insights and ideas to grow this valuable asset that we were so fortunate was not sold out from under us. I thank the residents of this community who stood up, spoke out, and prevented the majority of our current council from selling. I believe there are still people at this stage who will sell our utility following this election, so I ask that you choose wisely. Pictures of promises of a double pad arena, library, and other amenities were promised during this term of council as part of a bigger picture. The newly elected council will have some decisions that need to be made very quickly. There are other options for locations of these facilities that will better meet the needs of our community in a fiscally responsible and timely manner. As the Vice Chair of the County's Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, I was extremely pleased that we were chosen to have a 99-unit building constructed in our community. This is an ongoing issue, and we will need to seek out solutions and partnerships for those unable to access appropriate housing. With the assistance of the town's Economic Development Office, I am committed to working with current businesses, landowners, and developers throughout town to grow their businesses or develop their properties, creating new employment opportunities in our community. If elected as your mayor, I promise that decision-making will be put back in the hands of all members of council as a cohesive team working respectfully with staff and with decisions being made by true democracy. I will be a mayor for all the people and will move from defending the interests of Wasaga Beach residents to taking those interests forward in a sensible, cost-effective manner. Together as a team, we will get our entire community back on track. Please visit my website at ninabyfolchi.ca for more of my thoughts for our community. I ask that you vote for independent thinking individuals in this year's election and elect me, Nina Byfolchi, as your mayor. Thank you.
Next up, we have your other mayoral candidate, Brian Smith.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, fellow candidates. I'd like to begin by thanking the Wasaga Beach Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event, and especially each of you for being here and taking time out of your busy schedule so that you can personally hear us out and cast an informed vote. I'd also like to thank my beautiful wife, Joanne, and my family for all your love and support. I'm truly blessed to have you in my life. I entered politics in 2014 when I ran to be mayor and won the race handedly on a platform of change. Today, I'm proud to say that I've been true to that platform, and I'm able to check off each of my campaign promises. Sadly, it's not been an easy task because many of those who voted for the opposition have continued to fight that change that you supported. They have used every tactic you can imagine, including personal attacks on myself and other members of council, and a 4-year campaign built on misinformation, innuendo, character assassination, and outright lies. So it's time to set the record straight on a few things. I promised to make council work and be more accountable and transparent, and I moved immediately after being elected mayor to have all votes of council and committee recorded, and they are. And not only council is televised now, but all committees of council are live streamed so you, the taxpayer, know firsthand what your council is doing. This is why it's so disappointing when I learn that citizens believe false information. The opposition never ceases to peddle. One of the worst lies, the blatant lies, is that I voted to sell Wasaga Distribution. Only council can sell Wasaga Distribution, and we voted on that one time, 7-0, not to sell. If I wanted it sold, would I have promoted us to move forward and have consultation with the full community? No. And when did I ever argue in favor of selling it? Never. As your mayor and council, it is our responsibility to do our due diligence and to bring the facts to you, the people of Wasaga Beach, and then listen to you. And that is exactly what we did. I am the only candidate that I recall who actually put in writing in the last campaign that we should not sell Wasaga Distribution. I have never voted to sell Wasaga Distribution, and I will not vote to sell Wasaga Distribution. It has never been for sale, and it is not for sale. Over the last 4 years, among many investments in infrastructure and others, one of the larger investments was our beachfront and your new downtown, at which much nonsense has been spewed saying it's a costly deal that will bankrupt our community. This investment, folks, will make you a handsome profit. And a world-class developer who is willing to build an attractive, significant project for all of us to enjoy 12 months of the year. In 4 short years, this council has added over $18 million to the reserves, yet the opposition says we're spending all your money. Our future is finally here in our hands, and we are controlling it for the first time because of the hard work of the majority of this council. We borrowed $13 million on this project at the very low rate of 3% for 25 years. And you will be paid more than that in phase 1 of 3 in the fall of 2018. We can invest that money at a much higher rate than we borrowed it and earn you tens of millions of dollars in interest. That is money that will help us go a long way in paying for our new arena and our library. Folks, this is an affordable, sustainable, realistic plan that will finally start next spring if you should choose to elect a progressive, forward-thinking council. I promise to work tirelessly to bring a Wasaga Beach High School to our community. We've had the support of the Premier of Ontario and 2 ministers of education, who sent a letter to the Board of Education telling them it's time to build a high school in Wasaga Beach. I gained the support of all 15 mayors and deputy mayors in the County of Simcoe, who also sent a letter to the board and the minister saying the time for a high school in Wasaga Beach is now. Our local MPP, Jim Wilson, supports that and will continue to support us in the fight to bring a high school for our children. The process to bring about positive change is extremely demanding on town staff. However, our professional staff are second to none in education, experience, and talent. We rely on them and their expertise each and every day, and I could not be more proud of the staff of the town of Wasaga Beach and how hard they work and how dedicated they are to you, the citizens. It's these amazing, experienced professionals that ensure that council follows every rule every procedure and every policy, day in and day out, in everything we do. As mayor, I would be remiss if I failed to draw attention to the many citizens who have volunteered their energy expertise to work on all of the committees to help bring our great community forward. Their efforts have brought us to the cusp of reality and brought us to our true potential. Tourism has been back and coming back stronger every year. Our master plan is about to be implemented. The community hub will soon be a reality, and I'm confident we'll see a high school in the near future. These folks are your friends and your neighbors, and they deserve to be commended. We're at a very important part of the history of our community, and you will soon decide who will lead us into the future. Will you decide to select someone who will have us stand still, as we have for the last 8 to 12 years before this council? Or do you want true vision, leadership, and integrity that will absolutely move us forward to a more vibrant and complete community? United we stand, divided we fall. A vote to move onward and upward in the next election is a vote for prosperity. I humbly thank you for the honor and privilege to serve you for the last 4 years. Thank you very much.
Next up, we'll hear from the candidates for deputy mayor, starting with Silvia Brain. Silvia.
Hello, I'm Silvia Brain, and I respectfully ask for your vote for the position of deputy mayor. Many of you may recognize me as the owners of Grandma's Beach Treats or the cafe at the Collingwood Airport. I'm also a mother, a grandmother, an entrepreneur, and an animal lover. You might have met me at the soccer fields or the arena because we raised our 4 children in Wasaga Beach since 2003. They attended Worsley, CCI, and John Vangney. Today, my grandson attends Birchview Dunes. We all know Wasaga Beach needs a high school, and I will continue to advocate so that when my grandson goes to school, he won't get bussed out of town when it's his turn. I believe I'm the best candidate to represent you as your next deputy mayor, and I think it's important to let you know a little bit about my work experience. Before I moved to Wasaga Beach, I spent 18 plus years with Tetra Pak, a multinational packaging company best known as the inventors of the juice box. I traveled the world managing a highly skilled team and worked on many unique marketing and sales projects. Through acquisition, we grew, and I was also involved in merging our IT systems as we worked towards and achieved ISO certification. Tetra Pak was an amazing place to work. I've also worked in the automotive, market research, and IT consulting industries before finally joining the rank of the self-employed. Moving to Wasaga Beach, we made the decision to put family first, which eventually led to my purchase of Baymark Holdings Incorporated. We operate Grandma's Beach Treats as our primary business. I understand many of the challenges of our local business community and seasonality because I live it every single day. Our incredible staff ensure we win awards at Butter Tart festivals all around Ontario, bringing recognition back to Wasaga Beach. We have been mentioned in National Geographic, the Toronto Star, and even Toronto Life magazine. Surrounding myself with talented, dedicated employees allows me to concentrate on the other opportunities, which include being your next deputy mayor. It is my fundamental belief that your voice matters, and I will continue to listen to you, the residents, and the business owners. Listening is the best way to ensure my comments and my voting record at the table represent your views. For years now, most council meetings have been recorded and shared on Rogers TV. This term of council, we went one step further, and we now share some of our committee meetings. My motion to record and store all in-camera meetings was successful this term. I have repeatedly asked to have all advisory committee and board meetings live streamed and stored for ease of public access. However, the majority of this council has voted against it. Deputy Mayor Bifolchi was the only member to consistently support my efforts in this attempt for open, transparent, and accessible government. Wasaga Beach is growing, and there's much the next council needs to consider. I firmly believe that every member of this council has to work towards the needs of those in the West End, the East End, and in the middle. I'm not against a downtown. However, I do believe in organic growth, meaning the development should grow at a pace the town will support. I don't believe municipal tax dollars should be used to build commercial spaces that are typically built by developers. I remain excited about developing our beachfront However, I don't think phase 1 should be condos on Beach 2. I would love to see the town properties at Beach 1 be our first priority. One of my objections to the beachfront purchase in 2015 was a lack of a plan. My request to develop a business plan remains on the unfinished business list section of our agenda to this date. It's hard to work efficiently and effectively when you don't have a plan. During the 2014 election campaign, I supported the development of a proposed light industrial park at the West End, and I still do. I believe there is a need and that they would support small business and create additional employment opportunities townwide. It's discouraging to me when a business such as Parkbridge moves out of town because they are growing. We need to build relationships to ensure our large employers want to stay in Wasaga Beach. I would like to see our economic development activities expand to all areas and all businesses. When we live in a community that relies on tourism, we must demonstrate to the world that we are a safe community. To continue attracting new families to live in Wasaga Beach, we must provide them with a safe, active, and age-friendly community. Our next council needs to ensure these are priorities. A community concern that has remained as an item of unfinished business is to improve the inventory of tourist accommodations and review the use of tourism accommodation, motel rooms, for long-term rentals. Everybody deserves to live in dignity. The new affordable housing project at Zoo Park is a start, but we need to do more. A walk-in medical clinic has been approved on a trial basis. I look forward to the day it opens, and I hope it expands into a permanent walk-in clinic. I could speak about WDI and the Coward Gate incident that it led to for hours, but I will not do that today. I have zero tolerance for bullies. I encourage everyone with any doubt to go back and review the truth. The videos of those committee and council meetings are there for all to see. Wasaga Distribution is not only a strong company financially, but it's a major employer, a valuable service, and it puts the residents of Wasaga Beach in control of one of our most valuable assets. I will not support the sale of this asset in the future. Our next council will make decisions about a new library, a community hub, possibly a cultural center. Municipal development must be done in a financially responsible manner to ensure that we do not increase taxes beyond what our residents can afford. October 10th to 22nd, I encourage you to vote for free-thinking individuals that represent your values, and I look forward to working with the new team that is elected. Thank you.
Next, we'll have your other candidate for Deputy Mayor, Bonnie Smith. Bonnie.
Madam Chair, ladies and gentlemen, I am here today to respectfully ask for your support to elect me as your Deputy Mayor. It has been an honor to serve you this term as Council and previously as your Economic Development Officer. This is an important time in our history. We need the team of council and it's an important time in the history of Wasaga Beach. We need strong leadership at the table. This is why I am running for Deputy Mayor. We need a council with members who are ready to continue the positive initiatives, vision, and direction this current council has approved. We are now on a path to make Wasaga Beach a premier destination for residents, businesses, and tourists, one we can all be proud of. With 20 years of proven track record, I understand the benefits of visioning and long-term planning. As the town's EDO, I was a key player in attracting the YMCA, big box stores, and many successful franchises. Some of it wasn't easy. For example, before I was your EDO, I worked as Senior Public Affairs Officer for the City of Mississauga. I volunteered on the capital campaign team for the new YMCA. Having these contacts, I approached then Mayor Walter Borthwick to ask if he would like me to pursue the opportunity to have a Y in Wasaga Beach. He said yes, so I contacted them and they agreed to look at the numbers. Funding was also offered by the federal and provincial government, and we were approved for the project. Ladies and gentlemen, I raise this because there are some candidates here and some people in this audience who opposed the idea. One even said we don't need a pool, they can swim in the bay. It was a trying time for me, as I was being abused on email and threatened to lose my job. But I persevered because I knew it was good for you in our community. Thank goodness Facebook wasn't available then. Had it not been for the support of 4 of 7 members of council, the Y and this building would not be here today. Some of you may say this and other initiatives I brought to the table are past accomplishments, but aren't we still reaping the benefits of these businesses here? If I have the privilege to be elected as your deputy mayor, I will continue to address your wants and needs and planning for the future. I have listened to you in the past and will continue listening to you, only this time as your deputy mayor. Other communities around us are working on renewing their downtowns and waterfronts. Let's continue to move forward in a progressive and sustainable way to create a downtown and world-class beachfront. I would like to set the record straight on Beach Area 2 because I was there for 12 years. One of my goals as your EDO was to try and market Beach Area 2. This property always was designated to replace the number of accommodations and residents that were expropriated by the province. Previous councils supported my creating a request for qualifications for the property. Signs were placed on it, and it stood for several years. Even the federal and provincial governments helped to market the property. I recall 2 offers. Both wanted the property for $0, and one couldn't pass the financial audit. Today, we have a reputable developer, Fram, at the table, who is offering to buy the property at no cost to the taxpayers, and one who would meet the requirements in the original RFQ. Ladies and gentlemen, tourism is our only industry and is the fastest growing industry in the world. I will continue to support our tourism industry. Having the longest freshwater beach opens a world of opportunities for residents, businesses, and visitors. The time is now, the opportunity is now, and the future is now. Our youth and generations to come are our future. Let's continue to advocate for a high school, youth programming, an arena, and library in our new community hub. As our population continues to grow, residents, including our seniors, will need access to more services, retail, affordable housing, and long-term care. In 2016, Council and community partners completed an age-friendly community plan. Many of you may have been involved in that plan. 18 goals were identified as priorities. The committee was honored to receive an award from the province for their initiatives. As council rep on the Age-Friendly Committee, I have been working behind the scenes with the county, the LIN, and our MPP, Jim Wilson, to develop a strategy to bring a long-term facility here. And just a reminder that tomorrow is National Seniors Day. Now let me address the elephant in the room, Wasaga distribution. First, WDI was and never was for sale. And very early on, before this came to council, I received calls from 2 former councillors asking me how I felt about this issue. I told them then I supported keeping WDI, and I am telling you now, I still do.
Okay, we'll move on to the candidates for councillor now. They will get 2 minutes to make their opening remarks, and we're going to start alphabetically once again. At the top with Steve Anthony. Steve.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Steve Anthony, and I'm running for councillor in October election. As for myself, I'm a past director of the Wasaga Beach Snowmobile Club, a volunteer with the food bank, and a member of the Horseshoe Club. I moved to Wasaga Beach after 29 and a half years with the TTC. While there, I was elected and served 3 terms as director on the pension plan of $4 billion and 12,000 employees. My goals include preserving one of the greatest assets, which is Wasaga Beach Hydro. Last year, along with other concerned residents, worked extremely hard to prevent the sale of the utility, thus saving jobs. Allow me to clarify regarding the sale of that utility. It was recommended unanimously by the board of directors, and we all know who sits on that board. It was reported at one of the meetings. There is a need to end secretive, behind closed door committee meetings. All meetings should be open to the public and members of council, as transparency is a must. I will work with council to look at operations pertaining to affordable housing and development of an arena and a library. As a councillor, I will encourage private enterprise to look at the town to build movie theater and bowling alley. If elected, I will provide accountability, responsibility, and service. I will be available to you. In closing, I would like to ask you for your support on October 22nd for Steve Anthony. Thank you.
Next to speak, Joe Belanger.
Good evening. I'm here tonight to ask for your vote in October and to give me the honor and privilege to serve you in Wasaga Beach again for another 4 years. There will be many people asked for your vote tonight, but I believe actions speak louder than words. I believe one's track record is the best indicator of future performance. Our current council has completed a lot of work in a master plan, and we are well positioned for positive change and growth in our community, and in fact, we are close to having shovels in the ground. Our community is 91% reliant on residential property tax, and we will implement strategies to ensure that municipal taxation stays at or below the rate of inflation. We will design and build a community hub as quickly as possible that will include a double pad arena, a new library, and a community center. We will develop a downtown, and many of you have seen the images of that portion of Town Square, and it is absolutely beautiful. We will redevelop our beachfront, and we will revitalize our tourism industry, and most importantly, we will work relentlessly to get the high school that our children so greatly deserve onto the capital priority list. We will also improve housing options and services. We are currently under construction of 99 affordable housing units on Zoo Park Road, with another 99 units to come in the near future. If you vote for me in October, I will work hard to make Wasaga Beach a world-class place to live first and foremost, and a world-class international tourist destination. Thank you for your time.
Next, Robert Bortless. Robert.
A little deja vu here. How is everyone? My name is Robert Ortloff. I was questioned recently about my campaign slogan: sensible, affordable, sustainable growth. It's just a few bullet points, they said, so let's have a look. Sensible would be to fix a leaky roof before you do kitchen renovation. Affordable would be to buy a Toyota Camry, even though that Lexus is looking real sweet. And then socking away the rest of the money for the kids' college fund. Sustainable is having one less cup of coffee so you can afford regular oil changes on that new Camry and keep it going for 15 years. How does this apply to Wasaga Beach? If we had just put the money from all of our expert studies towards, say, a roofed pavilion at the main beach, we could today be hosting weddings, fall harvest fairs, spring RV shows, and in the winter pour some ice and have covered skating. Sound sensible? If we had not decided to put all our eggs in one basket and spend an estimated $6 million on our new downtown dreams, we could afford to build nice new washrooms at the main beach and a few playgrounds in some of the outer subdivisions. If we work on constantly improving what we have and find more efficiencies in our services, we could sustain ourselves without tax increases for decades to come. We are very fortunate that some of our earliest mayors and councillors like Ed Lonchewin and Walter Borthwick had the same ideas. That made this town a very desirable place to live and resulted in some phenomenal growth. If we focus on intrinsic growth instead of sprawl, we will be sustainable. Vote for sensible change. Thank you.
Next, Ron Ego. Ron.
Thank you. I can't possibly tell you in 2 minutes what I've accomplished in 4 years, or what I've got planned for the next 4. So I'll give you the Coles notes. Focus, buckle up, we're going to go quickly here. Urban plan. In 2014, I said we need a vision that includes the evolution of a downtown with a main street. Vision is now becoming a reality. Representation by ward. I firmly believe in this fair way for all voters to be heard. 13 of our 16 municipalities in Simcoe rely on the ward system. I have successfully fought to place this in the hands of the voters by getting it on the 2018 ballot. Whether for or against, please remember, it was Ronnie Gould that got this into your hands, and a vote for my re-election will assure I do my utmost to always serve the resident of majority. Walk-in medical clinic. I promised this was going to happen, and it has. I pulled on every resource I have ever known, past boards I have sat on, personal friends, and acquaintances. I had to peel through numerous levels of government to get the desired results. Meetings began in 2015, and many have been grinding. A lot of effort went into delivering on this promise. I am proud to say the staff is in place and the clinic will open at 14 Rambler Drive, 2nd floor, in the next 30 days. Shoreline properties. Lands expropriated or bought by the MNRF have sat vacant for over 40 years. This represents a massive loss of revenue to you. I will work tooth and nail to have these properties returned to the town. If you are listening to this speech, you obviously care about our town. Contact me for our platform, Ron Ego. Thank you.
Next to speak, we have Leslie Farkas. Leslie.
Well, first off, I'd like to thank you all for coming and taking such a keen interest in the future of our great town. We are certainly at an interesting point in our history, and without a doubt, it's time to put some real serious effort and thought into our future. Our once small town is now grown to over 20,000 residents strong, and is growing at an incredible rate. It is our responsibility as a community to grow in a sustainable way and ensure that all the residents are part of the process that ensures that we set our goals and achieve our goals, and then part of that. One of the things that we have to do is make sure that the items that we as a community have decided are part of our priority list, are on the top of our priority list, stay there. Things like an arena, a high school, a library, long-term health care, medical centers, and more sidewalks need to stay at the top of the priority list. Now, could you imagine what a high school would mean for our town? Now, imagine a new arena, and in that new arena playing is our high school hockey team in the finals. Can you imagine what that would do for our town pride? Now, although many people may tell you that tourism is not our only industry in this town, I can assure you it has been and will continue to be the main industry in our community. In fact, tourism is now the largest industry in the entire world. It employs more people than any other industry by far, and it would be irresponsible of us to turn our backs on this industry. In fact, I believe as a town it would be a fatal decision. We are the home of the world's longest freshwater beach, and the possibilities are endless. With a proper plan and dedication, there's no reason that we cannot become a world-class destination, not just for the tourists, but also for the residents located within. I believe that in order to achieve this, we have to set the bar high and set standards for the businesses that are located in our tourism areas, because I don't think that people should come to Wasaga Beach, go home, and talk about Wasaga Beach. I think they should come to Wasaga Beach, go home, and sing about Wasaga Beach. I respectfully ask for your vote as a position of councillor in the best place to work, live, and play.
Next to speak, David Foster. David.
Good evening, I'm David Foster. Thanks to the Chamber for organizing tonight's event, and thank you for taking the time to learn more about us. I've had the honor of serving 3 terms on your council, both as a councillor and as your deputy mayor. In 2014, I ran for mayor and was unsuccessful. I believe the experience I received during the 11 years on council, doing the job and being accountable for every decision I made, has provided me with a unique skill set to help move our town forward in a responsible, reasonable, and realistic manner. I'm proud of what was accomplished, yet I realize there's so much more we can become. Over the past 4 years, I've closely followed the progress and challenges our present council has faced. I don't have time to dwell on specific issues now. However, I believe it's clear that we need to do better, much better. We must apply common sense, accountability, and integrity and balance to every decision we make. Further, we must have leaders who understand and follow the policies, procedures, and regulations that govern the important work we do on your behalf. We must foster a climate of mutual respect and trust at the council table and beyond. We don't have to agree on everything, but we do have to listen carefully to contrary positions, as the best solution often lies somewhere in between. I truly believe that rebuilding respect and trust at the council table is critical to moving ahead positively. There are many challenges and opportunities for us: ongoing development challenge proposals, preserving our natural environment, aging populations, our relationship with the MNR and school board are just a few. There's no quick fix to any of these, but we cannot ignore them nor shirk the responsibility to address them. We have the gift of living in one of the most beautiful places in the world, with our breathtaking sunsets and our amazing people and businesses. I invite you to visit my website at wasagadave.com to get more information, and I ask for your support. David Foster for Council. Thank you.
Next up is Wendy Fox. Wendy.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Wendy Fox. I hope you feel the same way that I do about our beach. I hope you realize that it's our natural treasure. So let's protect it from overdevelopment in areas that don't need to be developed. Let's put our much love into Beach Area 1, keeping it for public use only and for all of us to enjoy. And our downtown. Let's sell off small parcels of land in our downtown to allow local builders and tradesmen to create our downtown with no risk to taxpayers. Let's make sure that we create our downtown to look more unique and charming, something more like Bracebridge and Huntsville rather than a big city. And the arena. I'd like to respect the work and the hard dedication that the past councils and staff did to bring the arena to the Klondike Sports Park. Let's keep Main Street for more charming shopping experiences. And with that will come no expropriation or displacement of families that have summered here for generations. And you can count on me to keep our taxes low, to stay on budget, to support a high school and our hospital and emergency services, affordable housing. I'd also like to protect our clean water, our environment, and our wildlife. I'd also like to support not selling hydro. And I'd also like to explore water safety programs, and I'd like to explore referendum technology. And why? Because in our country, we've been given a great gift, and many, many millions of people have died for it, and it's a little something we call democracy. So let's make sure that we're careful of our vote, and that we vote for 7 people that will represent the majority of the 20,000 people that we have in town. Thank you.
Mark Kinney is up next. Mark.
Good evening. My name is Mark Kinney, and I would like to be one of your choices as councillor on this upcoming election. I'd like to take this opportunity now to thank the Wasaga Beach Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event. As a resident of this great town, I've seen a movement where we are becoming more aware of what our elected officials are doing to our tax dollars. If elected, I will bring more openness to why decisions are made and why I voted the way I did, and be accountable for my decisions to the people I hope to serve. Accountability, respect, and trust are the foundation cornerstones I'm running my campaign on, and if elected, I will take them with me for the next 4 years. Respect is for the people in this community, for the position of councillor, and if elected, for my fellow councillors, municipal staff, and residents we serve. Trust should not be given, but earned. And if elected, I will work daily to earn the trust within our community and outside our community where it benefits our residents. I feel a new council, one I hope to be part of, will listen to the residents and move our great town forward in a responsible, positive way. I want to keep our beaches for our residents and visitors to enjoy, and to keep our beaches safe for families to visit. But the town of Wasaga Beach is more than beaches. It's families and businesses that choose to live here. Those are the people I hope to have the opportunity to work for and represent on council. If elected, I will support a new arena, a new library, work with stakeholders to ensure Wasaga Beach gets a high school as soon as possible, and bring independent thinking to council. I believe a safe, healthy community is one that people will want to live in, and the council should be the lead by developing partnerships and engaging stakeholders to ensure Wasaga Beach becomes one of the safest communities in Ontario. On October 22nd, Election Day, please consider a vote for accountability, respect, and trust. Vote Mark Kinney for council. Thank you.
Next up, James Cobell. James.
Hi there, I'm James Cobell, and I'd like to represent all of Wasaga Beach as a councillor over the next 4 years. Not just a quarter of it, I want to represent all of it. I became interested in running for council when the town server got hacked, the letter of intent to sell Beach Area 2 to Fram, and of course the WDI incident. They'll say that they did not vote for the sale of WDI, but how did it get on the voting block initially? I like to ask the questions why. And I will continue to ask the questions why. And I expect you to ask me why. As a councillor, I believe that tourism is our #1 industry, and that the downtown plan doesn't necessarily represent the needs and wants of all the tourists that are coming to Wasaga Beach. In there, they had a committee, and we need to ask the questions to the users. None of the tourists were ever asked. They had some offshoots, but they didn't actually talk to the people. And then with the town, they had 200 people put in their, 200 plus, put in their notes on what the needs of the town were. Right? So I ask you, what does the downtown plan represent to you? How does that affect you? Does it affect you with parking? If they're going to push, in page 104, if they're going to push all the parking to the provincial parks on 3, 4, 5, and 6, or to Allentown, or to New Wasaga. Anyways, I will continue to ask the questions why. We don't need to vote in a single line If you watch ducks walk into the road, they follow each other in a single line. Somebody's going to get squashed. We need leaders, not followers.
Next to speak, Kurt Lehman. Kurt.
Good evening, I'm Kurt Lehman and have 31 years business experience, but many of you know me as the international Canadian operatic tenor and actor. My education was in business, accounting, management, music, and acting, predominantly in Winnipeg, Indiana, New York City, and Italy. My current business is in residential and commercial development. I work with many of the town departments, and this experience would be a great asset at the council table. My focus is on our local economy, making our local businesses more viable and successful. The Fraser Institute has our local schools rated poorly and was advised by administration that there are needs. They all need our help now, not just talk, but solutions and results. As one of the directors of the Wasaga Society for the Arts, we are presently working on the development of the creative economy. We have many talented local arts individuals and organizations and are working with the town in the development of the cultural center. A study this year found that the direct economic impact of culture industries in Canada was $59 billion, 8 times larger than sports industries. Let's bring those dollars and jobs to Wasaga Beach. My entire platform can be found online. The other day, my 8-year-old son asked me in reference to the election, "Daddy, are you going to win?" Before I could even answer, he said, "Daddy, you need to believe. You need to believe." The very root of what we do in life starts with belief. If we believe, we will take steps and a course of actions in order to achieve, and when we believe and achieve, we will be the best place to live, work, and play. I will not just be your voice, but your fighter at the council table. We will make Wasaga Beach the best place. If you believe it, then together we will achieve it. Thank you.
David Matthews is next to speak. David.
Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event. I'm David Matthews, and I'd like to thank all of you being involved and listening. I'm running for council because I want to make a positive difference to this town. We have a whole community, and I would like to focus on some priorities that people have brought to me and that I agree with. These priorities are for today, and we can accomplish them without fighting or pettiness. Growth does not happen without desired accommodations. Cottagers have made Wasaga Beach grow since the early 1900s to 2011. In 2011, we could have made a plan for our short-term rentals. And what did our council do? Shut them down. No plan in place by the town to replace these units, we lost. So we lost our families. By not having a short-term rental plan, we have probably lost about $1 million in revenue. Several candidates now running sat on that council in 2011 who shut this down without any plan. We don't want to make these kind of decisions again. For example of how a short-term rental plan would work, please go to my Facebook, David Matthews for Councillor. Are we ready for the sale of marijuana? This will be legal in 4 weeks. The town is responsible to make a plan. Where to sell, consume, what zoning, how to distribute, and license. We do not have a plan. What does affordable housing mean? To me, affordable housing is a community that is affordable to all its residents. No social housing. Incentives could be provided to builders, maybe tiered development fees, because we are a financially healthy community. We need to attract day workers. We need to attract development that will keep prices between $275,000 and $375,000 for the average family for first-time home buyers. Thank
Next up is Patrice McCann. Patrice.
Hello, my name is Patrice McCann and I'm asking for your vote in the municipal election. I have been a full-time resident of Wasaga Beach for 20 years, and my career in business included district manager of the Canadian Federation of Independent Business. After my retirement, I increased my volunteering and fundraising efforts with Rotary, Wasaga Beach Blues, and Hospice. With Hospice, I was the fundraising chair during the build of Campbell House, something I'm very proud of. On the strength of these and other accomplishments, I was awarded the Citizen of the Year in 2014 and the Order of Wasaga in 2015. The skills acquired through my work life, volunteer commitments, and fundraising have positioned me well and effectively to work with a diverse group of individuals with minimum friction and maximum positivity. I pride myself on being a nonpartisan thinker, and I am ready and able to work with any government who desires a bright and progressive future for Wasaga Beach. If elected, I have pledged myself to conduct myself in a professional and reasonable manner, and not to let personal differences cloud my judgment in matters of government. I support our current downtown plan and believe in the benefits it will bring to our community. I'm also committed to the success of our new walk-in clinic, the construction of our new library and arena, and the ultimate approval of our high school. My long-term priorities will include studying ways to enhance housing options and transit services. Only by working as a united council can we ensure that these initiatives come to fruition. I will be happy to discuss concerns or suggestions if you contact me at my website, patricemccann.com. And thank you very much for listening.
Dean Robinson is our next speaker. Dean.
Welcome back again. So anyways, earlier on this morning, or this afternoon, I said a few things, but I'm going to change it up now. First off, my name is Dean Robinson. I'm an entrepreneur. I specialize in marketing and advertising. One of the things that I've noticed, the progression that I'm noticing here, is that a lot of people are saying, without this downtown development, you know, the Wasaga Beach is going to die, it's going to do whatever. It's not. Right now, we're the second fastest growing town in Canada. So it's just not going that way. We have to look at building the arena. The arena has to come, and has to come now. Not tomorrow, not today, now. Right now, we've got the land, we've got the property. People are telling us again, and I've heard it from this stage, people saying that we don't have the infrastructure at the sports park. We most certainly do. Being in the business that I am in, we know that there's fiber going in there right now. There's fiber going to all those houses right now. There's a development being ready to get going up there right now. So the development is there. We can definitely put it there. My next issue is affordable housing. Again, tourism is our biggest business. Where do we put those people? Where do we put the workers to live if there's no affordable housing? There's no place for them to go to. We can't keep putting people into hotel rooms and thinking that this is the way that we're going to fix our problems. It's not. 99 units is not a fix. It's only 99 units. If you take a trip down any one of the River Road East areas, any one of the cottage courts, you're going to see there's a lot of people living there, and there's just not going to be enough. So we've got to start working on that now. Again, my name is Dean Robinson. I hope I get your vote. Thank you.
Alexander Stone is our next speaker. Alexander.
Aloha, fellow Wasagans. My name is Alexander Stone, and as you can see, I'm running for town council of our unique community. I'll get right to the chase. My goals, if elected, are as follows. The number one most important issue facing our community at present is affordable housing and the housing crisis. It really is a crisis. My proposal is to create a tiny homes community on town-owned land which offers rent-to-own units to those who meet the qualifications set out by council. Such a program would allow our most vulnerable residents an opportunity to gain equity and a surefire way to create stability and prosperity for the whole community. I support the downtown project as it will add an estimated 1,400 jobs or greater. If we're going to work on housing, we have to work on the jobs as well. They go hand in hand. This is the cornerstone for becoming a Four Seasons community. The proposed library, or Discovery Center as some communities are calling it, would be the most impactful addition to community life. Not only a place for books, this library will have meeting spaces for clubs, a 3D printer lab, and a VR lab, among other great new ideas. This is the groundwork for creating awareness of emerging industries for our young people. Residents have made it clear that a high school, more medical facilities, and other amenities which will make this a Four Seasons town are a must. If you choose me as one of your 7 representatives, you can be assured that I will always have an open ear to your thoughts, and the 2020s are rapidly approaching, and you ask yourself who you want to lead you going into the future. I will certainly do my best to help if elected. Thank you.
Next we have George Watson. George.
I am George Watson. I love my hometown of Wasaga Beach. I served on Wasaga Council for 11 years and remain proud of the cultural and economic improvements and the significant commercial and residential growth realized during those years. Going forward, it is imperative that all residents enjoy the amenities of our community. The proposed downtown plan may have some merit, but I have reservations as it stands. Council is responsible to ensure the tools exist in an atmosphere that encourages growth. The developers are responsible for costs associated with their development, not the other way around. I also believe there is significant financial risk with this plan. FRAM was shortlisted, but through a bidding process I believe to be less than open or transparent. To date, details remain sketchy about the proposed Main Street reconstruction, traffic, environmental concerns, expropriation, infrastructure, or the future of our great gem beachfront of Beach Area 2. The agreements between FRAM and the municipality must be examined closely to ensure a net benefit for all our taxpayers before we proceed further. I have no association with FRAM, but simply want to ensure that we as taxpayers are protected. Current council has not functioned as a team. The town is essentially polarized. Staff morale is low, with many staff resigning in the past 3 years, and a councillor resigned in the first year, citing backroom deals and the circus atmosphere. Never happened before. Voting on the future of our community and the composition of our next council begins October 12th. If you want a level of courtesy and professionalism restored at the council table by someone who understands process, has experience you can trust, is committed, focused, and can think independently, then I respectfully ask for your vote. Thank you very much.
Next up, we have Stan Wells. Stan.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Stan Wells, and I'm asking for your vote as a councillor. I and my wife Betty have been permanent residents of Wasaga Beach for over 40 years. I have a unique perspective as 3 of our 4 adult children and their spouses live and work or own a business here. And we have 2, soon to be 3, grandchildren, both of whom attend school here. I previously served as a councillor from 2003 to 2014. I have over 30 years' experience as a teacher, principal, and supervisory officer with the Simcoe County District School Board and the Provincial Ministry of Education, including 12 years as a teacher and principal here in Wasaga Beach. I have a commitment to personal integrity, transparency, accountability, and a collaborative, cooperative, agree to disagree agreeably approach to decision-making and problem-solving. Excuse me. I believe we must continue to create a complete, self-sufficient, safe, sustainable, affordable, livable community, a town where young families can grow and retirees can enjoy the rewards of their working years. We must maintain a balance between wants and needs and between grand visions and realistic goals. I believe we are a town with a tourism industry, not just a tourist town. and we must focus our energies and resources on our permanent, seasonal, and businesses, all parts of our town, while recognizing tourism as a significant part of our economic health. Growth is inevitable and desirable. I think it is important to maintain the unique character of our town and the lifestyle that for years has attracted new residents, rather than pursuing a city-like environment. I will not make any grandiose promises, but I do promise you integrity, transparency, accountability, common sense, a voice of reason, independent thinking, and fiscal responsibility. Check out my website, stanwells2018.ca, and remember, experience the benefits of experience. Thank you.
Richard White is our next speaker. Richard.
Hello, I'm Richard White, running for councillor in Wasaga Beach. When I was 3 years old, my parents moved our family from England to Canada, and shortly after that, their marriage ended, leaving my mom to raise the three of us boys alone. But that wasn't going to stop my mom from living her Canadian dream, so she bought some land, and with nothing more than the help from our firefighter neighbor, she built that house. Every day she would go to work dressed as a secretary, but at night she wore a tool belt and literally built that house with her own two hands. That's my role model. As you know, I ran in the last election and I was very close to being elected. I am determined to serve our community on council. I grew up in Midhurst and Elmvale, and 7 years ago, Kim and I moved to Wasaga Beach to raise our three beautiful daughters. I have built my career as a business leader in tourism, and I have a proven track record for business development. I was here to see Wasaga Beach in its heyday and sadly seen it lag behind after the fire. As your councillor, I believe that I have the ability to help guide Wasaga Beach back to economic growth. Helping our businesses succeed is a personal mission for me. A number of years ago, my mom started a company that helps people give money to charities. Through her company, I donated $10,000 to the Collingwood Hospital. That's when I started to get involved in the community. It started off with fundraising with local service groups, providing business support for the Elvis Festival. I then became a committee member on the Wasaga Beach Short Film Festival and a committee member for the Wasaga Beach Blues Festival. Today, I serve you as the Vice Chair of the Wasaga Beach High School Task Force. My vision for the future is to build our economy, to create a livable core. I want to develop a worker tourism training program and have better access to transit and taxis. I will vote to keep your taxes low. On October 22nd, I ask you to elect me, Richard White, for councillor in Wasaga Beach. Check out my website, richardwhite.ca. Thank you.
Thank you to all the candidates for councillor. We have 3 candidates present running for school board trustee. They will also get 2 minutes to deliver their opening remarks. First up, we have Brian McWilliams. Brian.
Hello, I attended Appleby College in Oakville and got a diploma from George Brown in Toronto. I've got some goals listed here that I really want to work for. I want testing of the students to be put on the internet. And number 2, I want the criminal gangs to be expelled from the schools. Number 3, I want the teachers locked out until they teach properly. They're not teaching all the subjects properly. Mainly through neglect. Number 4, I want the students to have be tested for psychopathy and narcissism in grade 7 and maybe again in grade 12. That can be easily done than most people think. Number 5, I want to oppose additional population growth in the riding. I think you're losing the golden egg of being a tourism by having more buildings being built. That can be opposed by the trustee. want to merge the Catholic board with the Christian students because there's an influx of atheists and other religions. Number 7, I went to high school. There's one near the Highway 26 Cloverleaf that's been abandoned for years for perhaps 300 high school students. I want schools to end mercenaries.
Next up, Robert Potter. Robert.
Thank you very much, and thanks to the Chamber for hosting this evening, and thanks to you for attending and listening. My name is Rob Potter. I am not related to Harry Potter, and I didn't go to Hogwarts. But I am in favor of maybe a little magic in schools, and what we need in Wasaga Beach, of course, is not only the new improved elementary school, but a high school in Wasaga Beach. And why is that so important? One of my other roles is treasurer of the Fighting Owls football alumni in Collingwood. And I can tell you that the number of extracurricular activities done by Wasaga Beach students is very low. It's very expensive in the first place to sign up. You want to play volleyball at CCI, it's $250. It is not paid for by the board. And then you have that big second problem of trying to get home after practice because there's no late bus. So the students from Worsley and Birchview Dunes have to find their way home. And of course, that means they usually don't participate. And it's very important. So that's why it's so important to get a Wasaga Beach High School. And one that's really to be proud of and working with council to make it a true community center. Also, I want to make sure that all programs are in all schools. Birchview Dunes runs a great junior achievement program. I ran an entrepreneurial adventure program when I was teaching at Cameron Street in Collingwood. These are great programs for kids to prepare them for working in the real world. These programs are not universal in the board. We need to work hard in the board to encourage all schools to offer all programs to best prepare students for the future. That's my program. My name is Rob Potter. Thank you for listening.
And last in the category of school board trustee, Tanya Snell. Tanya.
Good evening, and I'd like to start by thanking the Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event and for including the school trustees in the conversation. This is an important role, and I decided to throw my hat in the ring because I have a daughter who's a grade 7 student, and youth advocacy has always been at my heart. I was a youth worker with the City of Vancouver for 8 years, and heavily involved in this community, involved in the Wasaga Beach Women's Business Association as their president for the last 5 years. I think my parents and my ex-husband can also attest to the fact that I'm a great debater. So I think I have some pretty good skill sets to bring to the position. There's a few things I'd like to see worked on. One being that I think we're missing the boat in regards to preparing our young people for today's real world. In the sense that you shouldn't get a trophy just for showing up. That's not realistic. And I think we need some competition because life is competitive. I also think there's opportunity to help empower and educate our parents with more opportunity for workshops and seminars to help educate them, to help raise successful children in today's crazy digital world. If anything I've said resonates with you, I encourage you to connect with me on Facebook, Tanya Snell for School Trustee. And I urge you to speak with your neighbors, speak with your friends who vote in both Wasaga Beach and Collingwood, because it's both communities that vote for this role, and ask them to get involved and to pay attention to the candidates, because we've not had a local representative in 20 years, and it's time. Thank you.
We're going in backwards order, alphabetically, and we'll start with the school board trustees this time, making our way through the councilors, deputy mayors, and mayoral candidates. That means Tanya Snell is up first. I'll read the question to each candidate, and the time will start when they start their response. Tanya, how do you plan to involve residents in the decision-making process in our town to obtain a high school?
I think that's a really great question. I was here when Elmvale was, the conversation was happening around threatening to close their doors. And this was pre-task force. This was probably, 6-8 years ago. And Elmvale got organized. They got noisy. They got involved. And we just kind of sat there. And so they kept their high school. They did a renovation, and we're still in the same spot. So I think what needs to happen is more engagement, more involvement with parents, with the schools, with the students, and getting vocal. The task force, from what I can see as an outsider, has done a tremendous job in raising the level of need. They just need, I think now, the residential backup to say that it's important to us as well. Thank you.
Robert Potter. Rob, how do you plan to engage residents in the discussion regarding a new high school?
I believe the residents of Wasaga Beach are unanimous in wanting a new high school. I think what we need to do now is to convince the board of the importance of a high school, and it'll be a new board, and we need to make that case strongly at the board. The people of Wasaga Beach in planning and developing and getting the board on side will be critical. And yes, it's a great committee. Lorraine Gruzik, I know on that committee, has been working hard with the rest of the committee. She's a former principal of mine, and I know what a wonderful person she is. And everyone else, we need to get the community involved in ideas because we need to plan it as a true community center. The problem hasn't been the province, the problem hasn't been the ministry, the problem has been the board. And that's why we need a strong voice down there, backed by the people of Wasaga Beach, with your support to get this job done. Thank you.
Brian McWilliams. Brian, what accomplishments are you most proud of, both professionally and personally, that relate to the position of school board trustee?
I have an ability to read. I'm told that many adults, they stop reading in school. Like 20% of people can't read. Another 30%, they don't bother reading after school. From my research as a stock market investor, I've found a way to disseminate quickly and get to the logic of some things. So I learned how school works at a private school, and yeah.
So we'll now move reverse alphabetically through the candidates for councillor, starting with Richard White. Richard, I've heard you mention transit in some of your speeches. If elected, what are your plans with regards to transit?
Great question again, thank you. Every day when I'm driving out to work, there's this man that stands on the corner down on Knox, catching the bus to work. You know, this time of year it's pretty easy for him to stand on the side of the road and catch the bus, but I can tell you in the wintertime when those snowbanks are sitting there, he's darn near in the middle of the road. It's not terribly safe. We have a really large town and we need to continue to expand the access to that transit service so that he's not standing in the middle of the road. The other bit about taxis is we all know how hard it is to get a taxi, but yet taxi operators tell me that they can't make a buck. And I think it's time that we put these two things together and figure out a solution. There's also a problem with accessibility in taxis. There isn't a taxi in town that can handle a wheelchair, and I think that this is a vital service that needs to be added. Just not enough time to get my last thought
in. Next up is Stan Wells.
Must be a tough one.
Just try to clear. Stan, do you believe all property owners adjacent to a piece of town-owned property should be given an opportunity to buy?
Currently, that is the procedure and the policy, that if it's a town-owned piece, the residents on each side are given an opportunity to purchase it at a market value. Does that apply in every single circumstance? I think we have to consider whether or not there's a need for that property to be used for any other purpose, in which case it might be purchased by some other individual for that specific purpose. But I think in general, yes, if we're selling town property, it's sitting between two property owners. Generally, yes, I would say that the adjacent property owner should have the first opportunity to purchase.
Unfortunately, George Watson had to leave during the intermission, so we're going to skip over his place and go to Alexander Stone. Alexander, do you support a ward system?
There was a bit of discussion about a ward system over the last few years. That's a tough one. I know residents are kind of divided on it and mostly leaning towards not having a ward system as far as what I can tell, and feel free to correct me. I don't think the way our town is set up right now that a ward system would be good. We have 21,000 people, and I think as the way we do council now is fine for deciding projects around town. Ward system is unnecessary at this time, I believe.
Dean Robinson. Dean, what have you done for the community in the last 4 years?
Well, in the last 4 years, I managed to come into this community and set up a telemarketing thing, as well as an entrepreneurial telecommunication service. Believe it or not, I've managed to capitalize on about 20% of this town. That's right, about 20% of this town actually uses the services that I provide. And it just keeps growing every day. I have also taken that opportunity to talk to as many people as possible about their concerns, because I have that the advantage of talking to these people every day, and a lot of the concerns are coming at me, so I'm there to answer them. Some of the other things that I've done, believe it or not, I actually do a lot of volunteer work, but it's very quietly when I do it. I don't feel that when you volunteer or when you donate anything, you should be actually advertising it.
Patrice McCann. Patrice, what are you most proud of personally and professionally in the last 4 years?
Well, I think I can go back to my involvement with hospice. I'm very proud of that. Campbell House has been open now for 5 years, and I know that 40% of the people that use hospice are from Wasaga Beach. So it's very important to Wasaga Beach that Campbell House is there. I've also been heavily involved in the Blues Festival every year for the last 8 years. And just recently I was on a committee that raised $56,000 for the new library build fund that happened 2 weeks ago. So I'm very active as a volunteer and looking forward to applying some of that skill at council.
David Matthews is up next. What are your thoughts? Is there more retail space needed in Wasaga Beach?
Well, at the present time, I wouldn't say there is. If you drive around Wasaga Beach, you see an awful lot of empty stores. And I think a lot of this is due to the high rents. Like already there are one, like Don Cherry's just left, and from what I understand, Taco Bell and KFC is also leaving. These are really hurtful to our economy. I think one of the problems with the beach right now is that the rents here are too expensive. And in most scenarios for the last 20 years, people that live in the beach don't really shop in the beach. And this is something that I think on council that we really have to address.
Just like to take one more opportunity to remind everyone to please turn their phones on silent, turn the ringers off if you haven't already. Next up is Kurt Lehman. Kurt, what is your feeling on setting term limits for each position on council, and what, if any, do you feel is an appropriate number of terms?
Well, some people have spoken in regards to having some term limits on council. To one aspect, term limits will limit, obviously, the time you're in, which protects the interests of the council. You only have so many fresh ideas, so much energy to pour into an organization, or, for instance, this as council. 2 terms would be probably a perfect term, because after 8 years, I think your energies might be expended, your ideas might have plateaued, and it's for some fresh ideas to come in and drive the town further. Thank you.
James Cobell. James, a new arena is proposed to be constructed in the next term of council. Where and why do you think it should be located?
I believe the new arena should be located at Klondike Park, along with the other ones. I understand there's no infrastructure there, but we need to put infrastructure throughout our whole town. Well, why wait? It will be paired in with the sports arena. There's lots of space there. I would like to see other things go into that specific area as well, including preparation for a high school. I think the location at that point in Klondike Park would give accessibility to Elmvale and Stayner and the surrounding areas. And despite not being downtown, I truly believe that we get more shopping dollars from that specific area rather than putting it downtown. If traffic becomes an issue, people will not go and shop or go for dinner or something like that. So, anyways, that's
Mark Kinney. Mark, are you in favor of a award system?
Oh. Well, that's the second time it's been brought up, so my overall feeling is I feel the town itself should make your councillors work for their job, and if you make a award system, it's less of the town you have to concern yourself with. As a result of that, I'm not in favor of a award system. I'm in favor of a candidate being at large, because that makes that individual responsible for the town as a whole, and I believe you should have that out of your councillor. That's my answer.
Wendy Fox. Wendy, what businesses would you want to see more of in our community?
Well, I tend to go outside to do a lot of my shopping. I'm a big thrift store shopper, but I think we have enough big box stores here. I'd like to see more unique stores, but I think it's important that we don't design a downtown to allow that we allow developers to do that. And the one thing that I think is important is that if you create a downtown with small buildings, then at least the shop owners, if they own the whole building, they're more successful in their stores because there's apartments above that can help them to support the payment of that mortgage. And that if their stores aren't doing very well, at least they have the equity in their property to help them move forward. And when they're not making money, at least they can think, well, down the road, we will have, be able to sell our properties and make a profit. Thank you.
David Foster. David, in respect of the Tourist Destination Management Plan, if you are elected to council, do you agree with the suggestion of a tourist tax?
No, I don't believe that a tourist tax would be beneficial to a town that's trying to boost tourism. We need to make tourism affordable. We have to provide options for people, different amenities, and I do believe that a tourist tax will just stifle some of that potential tourists coming in. Thank you.
Leslie Farkas. Leslie, how do you plan to balance work and being a counselor?
Well, the same way, to be honest with you, that I balance everything. In my life, one of the most common themes that I have heard is you can't do that. I have been told when I started my business that you can't start a business and have a baby at the same time. I was told that when I was 17 years old that you can't have a child and be successful at that age. I've been told so many things that I can't do, I really stopped paying attention. So in terms of what it is that I think to balance, the secret to balance is always good time management. Is to make sure that you have a little time for everything and make sure that everything has enough time for you to do what you need to be done. And lastly, most importantly, I have a really strong drive, and when I get on something, I don't like to go on to something else until I've completed what I'm on. I call that hurricaning, and I don't think it's a good idea.
Ronnie Gould. Ron, please share your accomplishments from the past 4 years.
Really? Okay. Well, one of the proud things that I guess that I'm more proud of than anything else, and everybody here knows it tonight, is the walk-in medical center. To me, it's an accomplishment that the residents, I would say 99%, had requested through the age-friendly report that the provincial government spent $25,000 on. The number one thing on that age-friendly report was a walk-in medical clinic. And as you know earlier, I mentioned that has come out to fruition and it'll be open in 30 days. The other thing is I had erected through our works department a guardrail on Eastdale Drive, approximately a mile long. There was a person killed there, I guess, about 10 years ago. They put up a new guardrail there. The ditch is about 15 feet deep. If you go in there, they won't find it until the springtime. Thank you very much.
Robert Bortless. Robert, do you support the live streaming of all municipal meetings, including committee meetings?
Oh, absolutely. No question about that.
Joe Bellows. Joe, are you in favor of the downtown beachfront development? Are you in favor of the downtown beachfront development?
Absolutely. As I indicated before, we don't have a expense problem in this town, we have a revenue problem. 91% requirement on a residential property tax or reliant is not sustainable. We need to increase our industry, which is tourism. We need to increase our commercial. And frankly, we need some beautification and some amenities, not just for us to enjoy, but in particular youth. Our youth have very little secure destinations to do things in the winter, and idle youth can be a challenge. So I am absolutely in favor.
Steve Anthony. Steve, how do you think data should be collected that reflects the needs and wants of tourists, including the number of tourists and dollars spent?
How the data should be collected? Well, we could go out into the, when the tourists arrive and talk to them publicly. I think that's a definite, to go out and find out what they feel about our town and what they would desire down at the beaches. That would be awfully important for the tourists.
Moving right along to our candidates for deputy mayor, starting with Bonnie Smith. Bonnie, what is your stance on Beach 2? Sell it to developers or keep as parkland?
Well, this is a real easy one for me, folks. I believe we need to sell it. It was left to the town when the parks took over and expropriated the land for the provincial park. That piece was left to the town to replace the accommodations and housing that was taken down during the expropriation. I myself, as EDO, tried to sell this property. I think I mentioned in my speech before that we worked with the province, I worked with the federal government, and we had only 2 people come back. One was just not fit, and the other one wanted it for free, and the other didn't pass our auditor's test when we were getting through that. This is no different than what we've been trying to sell for 20 years, folks. We need these residents to be used as tourist accommodation, and I will continue to support and fight for that.
Silvia Brain. Silvia, are you in favor of a ward or at-large system? Why?
Thank you. I prefer an at-large system. I know that there was a survey done in the first year of this council, and there was a public meeting and very few, I think it was under a dozen people showed up. There was a survey, again, very few people participated. I don't think there was much of an appetite town-wide for the ward system. It's on the ballot. That was kind of a compromise that we agreed to at the council table. So now the people have their chance to make their say whether you would prefer ward systems. Myself, I don't think we need them. I think we're a town of 20,000, not a town of 100,000. And there's certainly data that says towns of 100,000 or small rural places, perhaps like Clearview Township with different centers, benefit from a ward system, but I haven't seen anything that would show a benefit to Wasaga Beach.
Moving on to candidates for mayor now, starting with Brian Smith. Brian, please talk about improvements that could be made to our infrastructure and public transit.
Okay, well, public transit, as you know, in Wasaga Beach is alive and well. I think we see about 70,000 people use our transit system every year. And we certainly need to build upon that. We need to expand that to all areas of town, like hometown, out to Klondike Park, and back into town as well. We've got a great link with Collingwood, and then from there going out to the mountain. And as a county councillor sitting on council at county, the county is a transit plan in place as well that is going to expand that transit, that will connect with all of the communities as well, that you can use our transit to get to the hubs that will be set up and then to get across the county. So you'll be able to get to Barrie, to Penetang, to Midland. As a matter of fact, we have one already there that is Midland, Aurelia, Penetang to Barrie. So we'll continue to do that. It's absolutely needed, and we also need to be very concerned about paratransport for the folks here who need that.
Nina Bifulci. And Nina, once again, I'll get you to stay because the second round of questions, we're going to go in alphabetical order one more time. Nina, what is the main reason you are opposed to the Fram development?
Let's be very clear, I'm not opposed to Fram itself. I am opposed to how it has come across the table. We went for a request for expression of interest. Normally in that process, you would gather all the best ideas from something, and then you would go out through a proper process to a request for quotation, where proper pricing would come in, and you'd have a true understanding of what a development's going to cost. We skipped that step. I requested that we do due diligence on 2 different developers, and council only supported 1. I think with something this large for our community, we really needed to put a little bit more effort into it than what we did.
We'll start right back at the top. Here's Nina one more time. Nina, what is your position about cannabis stores and smoking on public beaches?
Well, I've actually heard from several people in the last week or so about this, more so about, it started with concerns about smoking on the beach and families there. So I don't have an answer on this. I think that, like most municipalities, we're going to be dealing with this, and I think we're all in the same boat. We don't have all the answers, but I would think it's something that it should be a priority for staff so that we can look at policies and procedures as to how we're going to deal with it, because we do have families that will be on our beaches, in our parks, and we need to make sure that everybody's comfortable with it.
Brian Smith. Brian, what can you do to bring the town together, and is it important that council be united or that issues are debated?
Well, I'll start with the last part first. It's extremely important that council debate everything that we do. We're never all going to agree on everything, but we should be able to agree to disagree and then not make it personal, and that's the big problem. With respect to uniting our community, I don't believe our community is not united. I believe that there are certain factions in our community that want to tear us apart, but I believe that a community as a whole, we are very combined and we are together, and that we are all looking forward to moving our community forward in a positive, sustainable, and realistic manner.
On to the candidates for Deputy Mayor, Silvia Brain. Silvia, if you could change one thing in our zoning code, what would it be and why?
I'm not sure. Zoning is normally something that would come to us from the landowner. So I had a neighbor who wanted to run a care home, a guest home for seniors who could no longer stay in their own home. And in a residential neighborhood, she couldn't do that. So she went through a land planner and actually arranged to get the zoning changed on her one lot so that she could have her care home. So I don't know that as a counselor, it's up to me to blindly say, I want to have this, I want to have that. If I had a wish list, I would probably work really hard on an industrial park because I think that's something we do need in our community.
Bonnie Smith. Bonnie, how do you plan to involve residents in the decision-making process in our town?
Well, I believe this term of council, we have involved citizens in every major decision that we have made. I believe this council has had more open houses, public meetings on major issues that we're dealing with. And if I'm elected, I will continue to involve the public. I believe in transparency, and I believe that we have done our best, almost to a fault, that we've involved the public in every major decision we've had to make.
Candidates for councillor, starting with Steve Anthony. Steve, do you support the creation of a lifeguard task force?
Yes, I do. I believe that's important to have lifeguards out on our beaches. They are qualified, and with first aid and other educational that they must have. I believe that would give a sense of security for our tourists, and that's very important.
Joe Belanger. Joe, how do you plan to involve residents in the decision-making process in our town? How do you plan to involve residents in the decision-making process in our town?
Thank you. Well, I think the challenge is not the process. The challenge has been participation. I have been involved for 3 years, and we've had an unprecedented amount of public meetings, public engagement, public workshops. We have certainly streamed all of the business of council, other than standing committees. And despite radio advertising, newspaper advertising, social media advertising, this by far, this afternoon tonight, has been the highest level of public engagement I have seen. And I want to thank you very much. And I would ask that when we have our next high school meeting, and when we have our next meeting related to our master plan and downtown and beachfront development, I would invite you to come out, because it is exciting. This is historic what we're doing in our community, and you need to be a part of it.
Robert Ortloff. Robert, how would you improve our town's economy?
I have to agree with Wendy Fox on the issue that she said. I spent 20 years as a hospitality consultant. Most of my clients were restaurant owners. The ones that actually owned their own buildings were highly successful and lasted for 20 or 25 years and had enough business left over that they could sell the business. The big problem here in Wasaga Beach is because the nature of our seasons and our tourism is rental affordability for business is not that strong that a person solely renting can really ride out the tough parts of the year. So I have to agree with Wendy and give her kudos for that. We do need to figure out a way of allowing more entrepreneurs to get some ownership of the buildings where they occupy their business.
Ron Ego. Ron, do you support the building of new facilities in one area or spread out in different parts of the town? Why?
Thank you very much. I support the buildings in one area, and especially in the downtown. If we can sustain what we have in the plans. The buildings downtown together will make the town more vibrant, and it'll also bring a lot of the residents and tourism to our downtown. I think if anybody has taken a look at the plans, they'll understand why. I don't like the idea of it spread out all over town, and I think it's more of a problem for the residents, because you go to one place, you have to go to another, get in your car, go to another, where if it's all in one area, it makes it much more economical. Thank you.
Leslie Farkas. Leslie, how would you increase the level and quality of physical activity in our community?
Increasing the level and quality of physical activity in our community would be definitely number one. Is our trail systems and our sidewalks need to be improved. If we want to be able to walk around, we need to be able to walk around safely. One of the other things that I think we should do is continuously promote the outdoor sporting activities that we have. We have a ton of trails. We have a very long beachfront. We can organize all kinds of different groups to really get people inspired and drive and continuously be active, because active means less cost for us. At the end of the day, an active community is a healthy one.
David Foster. David, name 3 skills that you have that would be an asset if you were elected.
Thank you for that question. There's a variety of skills you could talk about. Experience obviously comes to the floor. Passion for the town and for moving us forward. Patience would be another one that would be a skill that you need sitting on council from time to time. And just to throw in a fourth, I have a financial background that allows me to be able to read the numbers and try and make sense of them. Thank you.
Wendy Fox. Wendy, how do you feel about the transportation options currently available in our town? Do we have enough options? If not, what will you do to increase those?
I think as far as our transit system goes, I was very happy when we brought a transit system. I know that we fought hard to bring that here. Of course, we can expand it and be able to get people to go further on our transit system. The second part of the question was?
Do we have enough options? If not, what will you do to increase those?
And as far as, I think we were talking about maybe taxi cabs for transportation. I know that we do not have enough taxi cabs. I don't know if you know what my business is, but I own a local pub in town, and I actually had to create a shuttle service so that people could get home safely. A lot of times the cabs aren't even in town when you call them. Sometimes we only have one cab. So maybe to issue some more taxi licenses, or even an Uber service or something, and get a couple of extra people employed. Thank you.
Mark Kinney. Mark, regarding the legalization of cannabis, do you support or oppose cannabis stores in our community?
Okay, I think this is kind of, no, it's not. Okay, I have got different views on cannabis. However, the federal government is making it legal. So as a result of that, I believe the town should put together a policy to control it. Hopefully it will run and mirror 2 different acts, the Liquor License Act and also the Tobacco Act, in how it's dealt out, so that we protect our minors and we also protect the individuals that don't want to smoke and don't want to inhale secondhand smoke. So those are my answers off the cuff.
James Cobo. James, do you support the building of condos at Beach Area 2?
No, I do not. Ever since the letter of intent was signed, I've been against the building of the condos on that area of land. I believe it should be green space. Yes, it was expropriated. There were a number of properties that were expropriated over the years. However, I walk the beach on many occasions and I see empty homes. And people who are buying condos on the beach are not going to put them into a pool for rental. They will not do it. They have enough money, they will sit on them, and they will sit empty. It will not help the land, the development, it will not help the industry, and that's my stance.
Kurt Lehman. Kurt, do you agree with the creation of a committee that is solely focused on the tourism industry?
Tourism committee is, of course, very important. It's one of our largest industry in Wasaga Beach right now. Secondary to that, of course, would be the cultural industry. I think both of those are extremely important. Those are two industries in Wasaga Beach. Those are two industries that will make us money and create jobs. Thank you.
David Matthews. David, what's more important for our town right now? Building new homes and commercial space, or rehabbing, expanding, and better utilizing our existing homes and storefronts?
I think you can go down the road of both of those are highly important. Economic-wise, I guess restoration of the stuff that we have at the present time. Developing homes are fine, but the problem with Wasaga Beach with development is we're forecasting over 1,000 jobs with the downtown development. If we don't have homes for working people, we're going to run into the same problem they have on the mountain, where the stores can only operate 3 and 4 days a week because they just don't have the help. So I think we have to restore our housing, and I have to say that we have to start building affordable housing.
Patrice McCann. Patrice, is it more important for council to be united in every decision, or is it more important that issues are debated? Explain your reasoning.
Well, I think that to begin with, debate is healthy. But once a decision in council has been made under the Municipal Act, everyone's to get behind the decision and make it work. Sometimes you make a decision and then you make it work. And I think that that's what I would suggest.
Dean Robinson. Dean, some people in our community say that we have traffic problems. What do you think? How would you mitigate those concerns or change the situation?
Okay, well, we don't really have traffic problems. The problems that we do have are in those summer months. In the summer months, if you're trying to get out of, let's say, Beach 1 and you're heading towards Brampton, you're at a standstill right up until you get to the lights at McDonald's. I would suggest, or what I'd like to see in time, is a center lane that is, when you're going out, that center lane is open to those going out. In the morning, coming in, the center lane is coming in. It's the same as on, let's say, July the 1st during fireworks. The same idea would apply on Main Street. You know, you have a center lane. One goes out, one comes in.
Alexander Stone. Alexander, what does affordable housing mean to you?
Ooh, that's a good one. Affordable housing, the 3 A's. Well, actually, that's more the crisis: affordability, availability, and adequacy. Affordable housing means that residents here can live comfortably here without being gouged with excessive prices, and we need more units available. There's families that are crammed in to to little cottages that are not winterized, and you got a lot of people struggling. So like I said, this is the #1 issue in town, and the 99 units that are being created, that's a start. There's another 99 on the way. Even still, the county waiting list for housing is about 3,000 people. So we got a lot of work to do to hit down those numbers.
Stan Wells. Stan, what do you consider to be the role of residents in the tourism industry?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. I think residents have to engage in the planning that council does around the tourism industry. The residents, someone earlier mentioned about the tourism master plan. Residents need to get engaged in that so that they have their say in terms of how tourism is going to impact, affect, and improve their own community. I think the most we can do is ask residents where they see the tourism industry fitting into our economy and how it's going to benefit all of us as a full community, because in fact it does. It's part of our economic health.
Richard White. Richard, what are your plans for low-cost housing?
It's a good question. Affordable housing is really a county issue, and I understand that there's quite a bit coming along our way. But for me, thinking of it from a resident standpoint, is that we have an opportunity as landlords to be able to create affordable housing. But in order for the municipality to help us with that, they have to be able to help us with the streamlining of building permits, secondary suites, and these types of things. Prime example, I was trying to put a secondary suite together for a family member, and the zoning requirements to have that happen made it prohibitive in my neighborhood. And I think that if we could as a community get together and realize that secondary suites and outbuildings on your property to support family members or whatever is going to be beneficial down the road. I don't think that we're going to be able to go forward making sure that people live in bungalows and single houses. We need to create a density there to make it affordable. Thank you.
On to school board trustees. Brian McWilliams. Brian, how do you plan to involve residents in the discussion to obtain a high school?
What's high school?
How do you plan to involve residents in the discussion to obtain a high school?
Well, first off, we have to be careful not to get in debt. They're planning a high school 5 years from now to be complete. They're going to get in debt with that. I say go small to start at 300 schools. It's maybe already been built. I just want to warn the people to stay within their means.
Rob Potter. Rob, what accomplishments are you most proud of in the last 4 years, professionally and personally, that relate to school trustee?
Well, one role is leadership. For the past 17 years, I've been president of the Friends of Nancy Island Wasaga Beach Park. And we've done Wasaga Under Siege and so many wonderful programs. I have an incredible board that I work with. I'm proud of everything we've done. From the school level, I'm exceptionally proud of the Builders Club that I've run at Cameron Street School for 15 years before I retired this year. We worked with Kiwanis to do a huge number of projects to improve our school and to improve the community. We donated to the hospital, to hospice, to senior homes, to animal welfare, you name it. It was kid-driven. And I spent several years taking kids up to the Ontario Leadership Camp on Lake Cooch to help them to become the skills that they need, not only for school, but for adulthood. And it was a great program, and I'm so proud of everything we've done. Thank you very much.
Tanya Snell. Tanya, I'm going to ask you to stay up when you're done answering this question. We're going to have closing statements from all the candidates right after this. School board trustee and councillor candidates will get 1 minute to deliver closing remarks. Deputy mayor and mayoral candidates will get 2 minutes to deliver their closing remarks. We'll go reverse alphabetically. Tanya, please share your vision for the local schools over the next term.
My vision for local schools is, first and foremost, every youth deserves to go to school in their own community. I think we are long overdue for a high school in Wasaga Beach. I also think that with CCI being the second oldest school in the system, it's time for it to be rebuilt. It's overdue for it to be rebuilt. And not to be built as a super school as it is right now with, I think, over 1,500 students at this current time, but more in the smaller numbers. I believe that super schools are days of the past. We have record number of mental health issues with our young people, as well as independent education plans. And big schools have big cracks for kids to fall under.
Okay, we'll begin with closing remarks. Floor is yours.
Thank you. Excuse me. I've learned a lot in this process so far in running for school trustee. And I really, again, want to applaud the Chamber of Commerce for involving the school trustee position in the conversation. This wasn't offered in Collingwood, so there's been less opportunity to help share who we are and why we're running. For myself, as I say, you know, advocacy for young people has always been at my core. And one of the things I'm really proud of having done is 3 years ago I started the Youth Leadership Gala Awards. And I did that because I felt that we were missing an opportunity in being able to recognize some of the outstanding leaders that we had in our community that were giving back. And along with a small committee, we acquired all the funds that was required to put on a red carpet event and had tremendous support from the local businesses. Last year, oh boy, 5 seconds already? Anyways, have a great night and thank you very much for coming.
Rob Potter.
Thank you very much. And again, thank you to the Chamber for having this session. It was wonderful. As Tanya said, Collingwood had nothing of this, so I'm grateful to Wasaga Beach for doing this, and thank you for coming and listening. It's going to be a very important decision on the school trustee because so much is needed at Wasaga Beach with the high school, with the new elementary school. It's an important decision, and one hopefully that we can all be united in to get that done. I firmly believe that education is incredibly important. The school board manages a nearly $700 million a year budget. It is big business, and it's important that you have trustees that you feel are capable of representing you and doing a wonderful job for the children of this community as they grow. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Brian McWilliams.
I want to thank the 5 years that Susanna Lai has put in as a school trustee. I'm puzzled why you elect a trustee with the name of Lai. It doesn't make sense. My opponents, their namesakes for running for trustee is Snell. Snell was in the House of Lords in England. He was one of the major political figures to start Israel in the 1930s. And Caulfield has links, the name Caulfield has links much the same I have here. Also, the name Snell is linked to the Oklahoma bombing.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you. On to the candidates for councillor. Richard White.
Thanks everybody for sticking around. I know it's getting late. In my business career, I get to work with many different personalities every day. Around our board table, I believe in debating the facts that lead to great decisions. And once those decisions are made, getting behind them and making sure that they are a success. I feel the very same way about council. You deserve that. In Wasaga Beach, I want to build a complete community, a place to grow for everyone. And together, we can grow our economy and expand our access to services. On October 22nd, please vote for Richard White, or check out my website, richardwhite.ca. Thank you very much.
Stan Wells.
Thank you very much. I was honored and privileged to have had the opportunity to serve you from 2003 until 2014. And I would like the honor and privilege of serving you again. As I said earlier, I will not make any grand promises because I'm only one of 7 voices on that council. But I promise you that I would be an active, open listener and will debate all of the issues to the best of my ability. What I do promise you, I mentioned before, integrity, transparency, accountability, common sense, a voice of reason, independent thinking, and fiscal responsibility. I want you to think, experience the benefits of experience. Check out my website, stanwells2018.ca. Thanks very much for attending. Have a good night.
Alexander Stone.
Thank you, Wasagans. I just want to say thanks for coming out. You guys are great, and like Joe said, this is the best attended event that's happened in quite a while, with both meetings put together. I don't have the experience that some of these other cats have up here, and they're all a great bunch of players here. But I have determination. I have my the youth-ish, you know. And I think I do really well at this job. I like talking to all you. Most of you probably debated with me at some point about something. And I want to be a facilitator for what your thoughts are. You're really the employer, and so I'm here applying for the job from you. And I hope you'll consider that. Thank you.
Dean Robinson.
First off, I'd like to thank everybody for spending the Sunday with us. I'd also like to thank everybody that's running. You know, without them, we just wouldn't be where we are today. In the next couple of weeks, you're going to have the time to meet more and more people, more and more of the candidates. I suggest that you really take notice and listen to what everybody's saying. We'll be knocking on your doors, we'll be having meet and greets, and I hope to see you all there. If you're not, hope I can get your vote. Have a great day.
Patrice McCann.
So on May 1st was the first day that you could register to run for council, and I was there at 8:30 on May 1st. Since then, I've been knocking on doors. I've knocked on thousands of doors. I've been at every council meeting for the last 3.5 years, at least 85%. I've been at every committee of the whole meeting. I've attended committee meetings. I'm on the advisory committee for tourism. And so I've done my homework. And so I think that I've earned the right to ask your consideration in the election coming up in a couple of weeks. So with that, I'll close, and I would like to also say thank you to the Chamber for running this event tonight and this afternoon. It was wonderful to meet some of you, and thank you again for being here.
David Matthews.
I'd first of all like to thank everybody for hanging on. You've heard a lot of talk. You all probably recognize my name from running for the NDP for 3 or 4 elections, which goes to prove that my first thought is for the people of Wasaga Beach. I'm all for development, but if it's going to hurt anybody in the beach, we have to slow down on it. I honestly believe that the beach can be a wonderful place. It can be a world place for people to come, tourists and everything, but the main goal is to make it for the residents of the beach, to make it so that the residents are happy. The tourists will come, but we have to think of the residents first. Thank you, and I hope you vote for me.
Kurt Lehman.
What would I bring to the council table? I would bring passion, drive. We chose to live in Wasaga Beach. I saw the potential that this place had and then realized some of the issues and challenges that this town faced. So I got involved and attended many council meetings. Through my business experience, I saw some simple solutions in order to get us back on track. I also had a great career in the performing arts and now have the opportunity to give back. So I was involved with the Wasaga Film Festival and now the Wasaga Society for the Arts. I believe in a great Wasaga Beach and see the huge opportunities we now have. I believe we have an open door. Are we going to go through? My viable platform can be found at electkurtlehman.com. Thank you.
James Cobell.
Hi there, I'd like to thank everybody for coming. It's been a long day. I'm used to long days. I was a corporate controller. You had to do long days when you're doing accounting. I've been a tourist since I was 2 years old. I've been a part-time resident since 1993, and the last 2 years I've been a permanent resident. I believe I have experienced all aspects of what this town needs and wants. And I'm a firm believer. I've come here to retire, and I believe in this town, and we need leadership. We don't need followers, we need leadership. And it's up to you to decide who you want to represent you in the future. And I'm all for development, but let's do it right. Thank you, and find me on Facebook, it's James Cobell, Councillor 2018. Thank you.
Mark Kinney.
First off, I want to thank all the residents that came out today. I think it's important that you make an informed choice and know who your candidates for this coming election. I hope you will consider me as one of your choices, because I truly believe I can bring accountability, respect, and trust, independent thinking, and above all, listening to our people in town. I'd like to also thank the Wasaga Beach Chamber of Commerce for giving us this opportunity. And above all, take your opportunity that's given to you to vote at this next coming election, because it's very important to do so, and it's your way to show who you believe in town. Thank you.
Wendy Fox.
Again, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out. I'd like the Chamber for putting on this evening. Just a little bit about myself. I'm a long-term resident. I'm a long-term successful business owner, and I volunteer in our community extensively. It would be an honor to get on council this term. I think I show great leadership ability, but most of all, I show great ability to compromise. And it would be something that I really embrace, and that is to find out what the majority of people believe in. Because I do truly believe that democracy is what's most important in a town. And with that, I will vote for what the majority of people want, even if it is not what I want. But again, the majority is what we should be doing, okay? Thank you. Have a good night.
David Foster.
Thank you very much. I'd certainly like to thank the Chamber and thank you all for showing up over the 2 meetings we've had today. I'd like to thank everyone who's sitting up here on stage, because it is a difficult task and it's an arduous time. I also want to recognize the families of everyone, because while we sign up for this, our families didn't, and they get pulled into it, and I appreciate the support that all of us have received from our families. Again, my name's David Foster. I've got experience. I think that together we can improve our community. My website is wasagadave.com. And again, I'll see you at your front door sometime soon.
Leslie Farkas.
When my wife and I were looking around for a place to put our roots down, we were looking for the best place to live, work, and play. And I'll tell you, there was no question. We love the beach. And I can tell you in my opening statement, as I said, we have a responsibility to grow sustainably. But more importantly, we have a responsibility to be in contact with the residents of the town as we make our plans and have their voices heard. Because I do believe that we are all in this together. One of the hardest things about governing from the outside looking in is going to be, no doubt about it, you're there not just to represent the people you agree with. You're there to represent the people you don't agree with as well. And that obviously can be a daunting task. But the most important thing, I think, that in order to accomplish that is you have to put your personal aside. You have to be a professional and leave yourself out of it. So I would like to request your vote for council in the best place to live, work, and play. Vote Leslie R. Farkas.
Ronnie Gould.
Thank you. I would like to thank all the people for attending tonight, and I'd also like to thank the Chamber and these two gentlemen here. I'd like to get rid of that bell though, but anyways, that's beside the point. In 2014, I stood before you, and the question was asked, what do I know about politics? And I said to you at that time, I said, I figured out everything else in my life, I'll figure this out. I think I've done a pretty good job so far, and my record shows for it. Also on top of that, I'd like to say that the mayor and council have showed a lot of confidence in me by they have placed me on 6 working committees in the town. Of those 6 committees, I'm happy to say that I'm involved in all of the ones to do with the downtown, community policing, and other boards as well. Thank you very much, and I would appreciate it very much.
Robert Ortloff.
No duck sounds. Thank you, John. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. 3 minutes is really not enough time to explain everything, and material was not allowed here tonight, so I'm going to ask any of you that are interested to visit my blog. There you'll find information on virtually every subject that was discussed here tonight. My last name is a little awkward, so I'll spell it for you. It's B-O-R-T-L-I-S-Z. The Z is actually silent, so it's quite easy. So the blog is robertbortles.blogspot.com. I hope you visit it. And polls open October 12th. Happy voting. Thank you.
Joe Bellows.
Okay, I really got to act fast. Please vote Joe, you get more. My work outside of council in the community is extensive. I look for opportunities and support local business, charities, organizations, individuals, and events. And I want to say that I'm very appreciative of the Chamber. Last week, I was very humbled and honored to receive Citizen of the Year for this year. And I accepted that award on behalf of all the volunteers in South Georgian Bay. There's 300 organizations that use volunteers, and without them, we would not have the community we do. Thank you very much.
Steve Anthony.
First of all, I'd like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for this evening, and I'd like to thank all the residents that have come out this evening. As my door hangers that I submit around the town and my signs, it says accountability, responsibility, and service. That's what you will receive from me. From my heart, that's exactly what these residents of this community will receive. So elect Steve Anthony on October the 22nd. Thank you very much.
Candidates for Deputy Mayor and Mayor will receive 2 minutes each to make their closing statements. We'll start with Bonnie Smith, Deputy Mayoral candidate.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for attending tonight, and thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event. When I ran for council last time, I had great support encouraging me to run because the town, when I had done a lot of the things as economic development officer, when I left, nothing was being done in the 4 years that I was away. So I ran, and I'm very grateful and honored to have won the seat on council. I have to say something from personal view. I was so excited I ran. I thought, geez, we can be a team, we can move the town forward. And I never knew any of the 7, personally, myself I did, of course, but I was so surprised when 5 out of the 7 voted the same way. They had the same vision, and we had the same ideas of moving forward. And this is where I am going to continue to do, is to move this town forward. I had a number of campaign promises that I made, and I'm very proud to say that we have worked on all of those over the last 4 years. George Bernard Shaw once said, "Progress is impossible without change. And those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything." If you want a deputy mayor who has the time, experience, commitment, vision, and integrity to represent you, I am respectfully asking for your support to elect me as your deputy mayor. Let's not go backwards, folks. The future is now.
Your other candidate for Deputy Mayor, Silvia Brain.
Thank you. Thank you for taking time out of your busy lives to be here tonight in the Chamber. I know it takes a lot to arrange an event, so thank you very much for offering us this evening and this afternoon. I believe in open, transparent, and accessible government. I believe I am very open. I have never received a question that I haven't been able to give an answer. It might not be the one you want to hear, but it will be an honest answer. Transparent is what I believe our government should be, and certainly accessible to all, whether you're sitting at home because you can't get to a council meeting, or whether you're at a council meeting you need to get into council chambers. I think accessibility is important. I've had a great 4 years. I'm ready, willing, and able to step up to the position of Deputy Mayor, and I really hope that you put your trust in me to take that position. A little earlier, I ran at a time when we were talking about a 5-2, the 5-2 fallacy when it comes to voting. And I believe that the majority of council votes are actually 7-0. If there's anything missing, information or questions that can't be answered at the table, I will vote no. I won't guess. It's your future, it's my future. I will vote no if I don't have the information that I feel comfortable to make that vote. For example, when the majority of our council chose to change our code of conduct to give the mayor the power to direct staff, making us the only municipality in Ontario to give the mayor that power, I voted no. It was a 5-2 vote. 12 months later, there was another vote and we revoked that power. So sometimes if you analyze those 5-2 votes, there's a reason. So please don't believe everything you hear, do your homework. I will stand up for what I believe is the right thing to do, and I believe that's what you elect me to do. Please vote. Please vote for free-thinking individuals that respect your values. This is your council. You can follow my Facebook page. It's been open for about 3.5 years. So my activities, my events, things I've done, or silviabrain.com. Thank you.
And now on to our 2 mayoral candidates. First, Brian Smith.
Thank you very much. Thank you again to the Chamber. Thank you to you folks for being here and giving us your time, and thank you to my beautiful family for your love and support. Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard many times that I was born and raised in this community, and I could go on right now for 2 minutes about a lot of things that this council has done, all of which I am extremely proud of. We have moved this community forward in 4 years an immense amount, and will continue to do that. Ladies and gentlemen, I need you to know that I don't need this job. I have a very successful business. I'm a very blessed man with an absolutely beautiful family. I do this for one reason. I love this community. It's the community I was born and raised in. It's the community where people like you give me an opportunity to move forward in my life. And so I want to thank you for everything you do in our community. I want to thank everyone that is on this stage tonight for putting their hand up, because it's not easy. It's not rocket science, but it's not easy. And ladies and gentlemen, I'd ask this of you. We've heard tonight a few times about the divide in our community. I don't believe there's a divide. I believe there are a faction of people who would love to tear this community apart, but they won't succeed. We're above that. When you go on Facebook, when you're out in the street, and when you speak to people or about people, be kind. Speak to them the way you want to be spoken to. And don't say anything behind a keyboard you wouldn't say to someone's face. My kindergarten teacher is sitting right in front of me. Mrs. Schneider, I love you. She taught me the values that I've just said to you, and I thank you for that. Ladies and gentlemen, I humbly ask for your support in this election. Thank you so much.
Your other candidate for mayor, Nina Bifolta.
I would also like to thank everyone for attending and thank the Chamber. I'm sure everyone on this stage has a lot more that they would like to share with you, and I encourage you to continue to reach out to them prior to October 12th when voting starts to ensure that 7 independent thinking members are elected to our council. My website is ninabifolchi.ca, and I share many thoughts on there about many issues, including our beachfront development. I have thoroughly enjoyed being part of this community and representing it for the past 12 years. And if you want honest, fair, transparent, and inclusive leadership, please vote for me as your mayor. Thank you.
I'd like to extend a huge thank you to all our candidates for not only being here at this meeting, but also the earlier meeting, and thank you as well to all of you for attending. I'll now turn things back over to Colleen for some closing remarks.
I have some thank yous to deliver. It's not easy running a forum such as this,
And I want to put thanks out to Tyler Rowlands, who is the Vice President for the Chamber, Dr. Joel Simpson, Director, Marlene Perkins, Director, Jason Rattan, Director, residents from our community, Kelly Nash, Chuck Christie, Barb Christie, Kathy Mulgrew, and my favorite family person, Phil Paget. I'd like to thank Rogers TV for filming this afternoon. It will be on our website. And I'd like to thank Mike Jablansky, Wasaga Mike, for taping this afternoon and this evening. I'd like to thank John Sandham for being our moderator. A big round of applause for John. And lastly, I'd like to thank all the candidates and you residents for participating and making this a very respectful forum for all candidates. Thank you.